Burnout. It's a term that we hear all the time, especially in wellness circles. If you're a practitioner, chances are many, if not all of your clients are struggling with their own burnout. Physical fatigue, emotional exhaustion, procrastination, mental fog caused by accumulated stress and trauma and overcommitment. But here's the uncomfortable truth that we rarely talk about. What about our own burnout as practitioners? Now, I recently came across a very vulnerable Instagram post from a fellow wellness practitioner who actually admitted that he has just come back from taking 10 months off of his business due to the severe burnout. And it wasn't just a bad day or a bad week. His burnout had spiraled into many physical symptoms, strained his marriage, and left his business in disarray. And so much so that he had to take a whole 10 months off to work on himself to get out of that burned out state. And that's 10 months of lost business or a loss of building momentum on building your business. And really, this is alarming for two reasons. First, many people in general, but people in this profession, maybe you're included in that, can't afford to take extended time off. And the second, it highlights the stark reality that we must confront as wellness professionals. That for us to be able to help others on their healing journey and for us to have the energy to actually do what it takes to build a successful business, we must first and foremost be taking care of ourselves. When we show up depleted and burnt out, we cannot effectively support our clients or do the things that we need to do to be successful in this industry. And worse, we may even lose sight of the very values that we encourage in our clients: balance, boundaries, and self-care. But the good news is that burnout is not inevitable, but preventing it or even overcoming it requires to take an honest look at how we're living and working. So here are some key aspects that you might think about addressing. First up is probably a pretty obvious one, but it's supporting your own health. And it's ironic, isn't it? Because we guide others towards healthier lifestyles. Yet often we tend to get sucked into neglecting our own health in the process. Many of us get into this industry because we are maybe struggling with our own health issues, and we might have overcome them, or at least overcome them to some degree. But then due to long working hours, packed schedules, the pressure of always being on, the amount of hats that we have to wear can wreak havoc on our nervous systems and our overall well-being. And if we don't have good daily habits in place, we can get sucked back into old patterns, which can therefore impact our health. So looking at your daily habits and being consistent with them no matter what. Our daily habits matter big time. Prioritizing nourishing meals, taking enough breaks, prioritizing sleep and rest, which are very different things, and constantly working on nervous system regulation are not optional luxuries. They are fundamental. And as we always say, self-care is not selfish. It's a necessity to sustain us in this field for years to come. Remember, when you take care of your own health, you're modeling it for your own family and for your clients. And you're showing them what a balanced, intentional life actually looks like. Next up is stepping out of the rescuer role. Now, if you've heard of the Cartman's drama triangle, which we're not going to go into it in depth here in this video, but we do go in depth in it in many of our programs, including our Holistic HTMA Pro program. But it's important to understand what being a rescuer looks like and what it can do to facilitate burnout. Because one of the most common causes of burnout among wellness practitioners, from what I have observed, is falling into the role of rescuer. So have you ever taken on too much of a client's healing process? You are taking more responsibility for providing them with solutions than they are. You have found yourself bending over backwards to fix their issues. Or you felt emotionally drained when they didn't achieve the results that they were hoping for. This dynamic is not only unsustainable, but it also creates unhealthy relationships with clients. When we show up and act as their rescuers, we often attract clients who show up as a victim role, expecting us to solve everything for them without them having to do a whole lot of work. The solution: shift your approach from a fixer to a resourcer. Empower your clients to take responsibility for their healing and guide them to become their own best self-healers. This is something that we teach in our programs, including our Holistic HTMA Pro, how to work with clients in a co-creative relationship where they are in the driver's seat and you are just a passenger. Because that is where long-term healing takes place. If we are just showing up and giving them prescriptions, telling them what to do in order to heal, this is very much a transactional relationship, not a transformational one. So doing this will not only lighten your emotional load, but it will ensure that the work that you do with your clients has a much deeper and lasting impact on them. As they say, if you fish for someone, they eat for a day, but if you teach them to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. Next up is learning to say an important word: no. How often have you said yes to an opportunity or a client when ultimately your gut was screaming no? Overcommitting ourselves leads to resentment, exhaustion, and ultimately burnout. I can definitely look back on my practitioner journey and remember times when I was talking with a client and it really didn't feel in alignment. But sad to say, I was in a mindset at that time of, well, hey, they're willing to pay me and I need to make money, so I'm going to say yes. And it really ended up not being worth it in the long run because it was draining to me. It was a lot of work and the person didn't really end up getting a lot of great results anyway because it wasn't in alignment. So sometimes you have to learn from experience, but if you can say no to something that doesn't feel right, then it's important to speak up. Setting boundaries and having standards is one of the simplest yet most challenging things that we can do. It's tempting to take on more clients or say yes to that extra project, but doing so often stretches us way too thin. So challenge yourself to honor your own capacity to say no when it's needed. By protecting your time and your energy, you'll be able to show up more fully for both yourself and for the clients that are in great alignment with the work that you do. Next up is gaining clarity on your priorities. A lack of clarity is another silent contributor to burnout. When you're unclear about your goals and your priorities, we often end up working hard, but we are working hard on the wrong things, the things that don't help propel us forward, things that lead to frustration and the feeling that we're expending energy without progress. So we're just a hamster running around on a wheel, not really getting anywhere. So take time to define what success looks like for you and revisit your goals regularly to ensure that your day-to-day actions, the time that you're spending, align with the bigger vision that you have. Clarity creates focus, which allows you to do more with less effort. Next up is to stop glorifying hustle culture. Now, there is definitely a lot of work involved in running a successful wellness practice? Do you find yourself pushing past limits and justifying it to yourself by thinking, that's just what successful people do? Unfortunately, we live in a society that glamorizes hustle culture, or running yourself ragged into the ground, trying to do all this work in order to achieve success. Working long hours with little rest. It's become a badge of honor, but ultimately at what cost? The truth is, pushing beyond your capacity doesn't lead to greatness. It leads to nervous system overload, reduced cellular energy, and ultimately burnout, which can lead to a whole host of chronic health issues. So it's time to normalize slowing down a little bit, and taking breaks, and honoring your body's need for rest. Success isn't about how much you do, it's how efficiently you align your efforts with your goals. Next up is underlying behaviors and beliefs. Burnout often stems from these underlying patterns and beliefs that go unchecked. One significant contributor is a scarcity mindset, which is often rooted in a fear of not enough. This mindset can leave individuals feeling stuck in a cycle of overwork, striving to do all the right things without achieving their desired outcome. They may unknowingly operate from a place of fear, playing not to lose rather than playing to win. This approach breeds frustration and stagnation, as doing the same things repeatedly while expecting different results becomes a source of exhaustion. It's Einstein's definition of insanity. And furthermore, a scarcity mindset erodes self-belief, preventing individuals from leading with conviction. That lack of confidence becomes tangible and impacts the energy that they project, repelling rather than inspiring others. Recognizing and addressing these ingrained beliefs is crucial to breaking free from the cycle and moving toward a more sustainable and empowered approach. And the last point I wanted to make in this video is practicing out of alignment. When you focus on selling what people want and what you think they will buy instead of what they truly need, you risk falling into a cycle of misalignment with your values and purpose. This approach might bring some short-term success, but it can leave you feeling very disconnected and unfulfilled in the long term. Practicing in a way that doesn't align with who you are or what you stand for generates internal friction, making it harder to sustain your energy and your passion for what you're doing. True impact and sustainable success come from being authentic and being truthful in a compassionate way. By offering solutions that genuinely serve people's deeper needs, not just their fleeting desires. And this point I hear so often from students that come to take our programs, that the standard functional medicine approach that they were practicing, whether it be spending a lot of money on labs and recommending a lot of supplements, didn't feel aligned anymore, but then they didn't really know how to get out of it. And in their minds, they also thought that that's what clients want. So that's what I'm going to have to sell them, because anything else they wouldn't want, and then I won't be successful. So if that's you, and if you resonate with that, I challenge you to think differently. Burnout might seem like a natural risk of being in a helping profession, but it doesn't have to be. By prioritizing our own health, redefining our roles with clients, setting boundaries, gaining clarity, and rejecting hustle culture, we can create a sustainable path forward. Not only will you feel more energized and fulfilled, but you'll also be more effective and inspiring as a practitioner. So now it's over to you. Take a moment to reflect on your current habits and your mindset. Where can you create more balance in your work and your life? If we're going to help our clients achieve balance, resilience, and wellness, we need to start with ourselves, because when we thrive, we empower others to do the same. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.